This one's gonna hurt me deeply. It's gonna cut me deeply. It's real close to my heart. Nux Taku's career might be over. I love that blue Jew. I hope he didn't do something to actually end his career. I hope this is just clickbait.
And even more importantly, this also had an age verification. You needed to click that you were 18 plus to join this channel in the server.
Well, when an individual is in your server, self-admitting over and over and over again to the fact that they're underage over and over and over again, it's really hard to use the excuse of they clicked the button that said I'm 18 and up. This video is going to be a tough one, not only for the viewer, but for myself, because I'm going to have to be censoring things in a very particular way to make sure that this video doesn't just get deleted off of YouTube. I don't think we need much more of an intro, so I'm just going to jump into it. The person we're talking about today is Nux Taku. They are quite a large YouTuber. They have a 2 million sub channel as well as a separate secondary one, Nuxanor, with 930,000 subs, which they post more frequently too. Nux is now known for doing like political commentary stuff as well as drama commentary stuff himself, but he got a pretty big start on YouTube being the hentai guy. Now,
I had to sit down for this one because this one's gonna be rough.
recently, just a few days ago here, content creator Nikandros here ended up posting a video exposing Nux Taku's EPI Empire Part 1. Now, in this video, he makes some pretty heavy accusations towards Nux Taku. Number one, alongside Nux Taku's content creation being centered around hentai, including lolly, Nikandros alleged that Nux was very firmly aware that he...
For people who are like super against all of the porn and stuff and like gooning and everything, they sure do get into a lot of gooning stuff on the internet, like communities based around not safe for work content. Like, I don't know how you get into that, man, and it doesn't interest me. Even like when I was on Newgrounds, that wasn't what I was on Newgrounds for. I was playing games. Like real games.
Had a audience that was very much 18 and under, or I should say 13 and up, that Nux went out of his way to give, you know, information in regard to what he was covering, the hentai, things like that, their titles, how to find them, etc., which in turn was enabling access to this content for those children. But additionally, that he catered his content to a younger audience on purpose. And finally, I would say...
it doesn't matter if you're saying like, here it is, don't go to this, man. Here's it, like... trying to help them in a way, trying to be some kind of teacher, some kind of guide, to be like, here's all of the things that you should avoid. Well, you can't do that because you're not these kids' parent. It's not your job. And that's just fucking weird, man.
Most egregiously, Nikandros goes into Nux's Patreon Discord server, which you could enter for a single $1. And in there, he finds a 14-year-old kid that was a part of that server that engaged in NSFW content and made it clear multiple times that they were a child to the other people.
Why was there NSFW content in there, and what kind are we talking about? Apparently hentai stuff. That's not okay. If it's some fucks and some shits every once in a while, I don't think that's that bad.
In the server, so much so that the other people in the server engaged with that information. Nux also engaged with that individual so much so that it makes it really hard to argue an idea that Nux didn't know that this was a child on his server. Now, I'm kind of giving a shallow overview on purpose here. I highly recommend that you check out Nikandros' full video if you have the time. I'll leave a link in the description below. But because my video is coming out a bit later after the release of his, I also wanted to include how Nux responded to these allegations and accusations that Nick put forward. His response is really peculiar and genuinely worrying. So with all that, I'm just going to walk you through some of the main points that Nikandros puts forward, like the ones I just mentioned, and show you guys the evidence that he provides. First things first, Nux did start originally as an anime channel, and then the hentai thing took off, blew up in terms of viewership, and he really ran with it. I want to show how that kind of gets introduced here.
In 2015, he grew slowly and steadily, but in late 2019, everything changed.
I also made a video on YouTube that has since been removed, the biggest flexes in hentai, and the degeneracy began from there.
In the video, Nux Taku reviews and recommends 10 hentai animations, 7 of which were categorized as lolly, meaning they contained underage characters.
And this bad boy, very not chill stepfather, has a very not chill relationship with stepdaughter.
Again, most people would think this is weird, but hentai clearly knows better.
He was already showing adult content to a 13-plus audience, and giving them advice on how to find adult content online.
The reason why I bring it up here is because without putting text on the screen is nearly impossible to remember. Therefore, since the plot, and it's a goddamn plot, deep thematic and philosophical undertones here, I believe anyone who wanted to search this bad boy up without said title, because I was a douche for not putting it on screen, would just simply look up time stop hentai. Far easier than very understandable. A lot of y'all sent me screenshots on Twitter, link to my Twitter in the description, of the top recommended searches on the hub of prawn. And lo and behold, much to my surprise, WTF fanbase, one of the top hits is time stop hentai.
So not a great start. 7 out of 10.
It's pretty funny, but unfortunately, children were involved, so you don't get a pass.
That lollipop kind of stuff, for those who don't know, that, like Nikandros said, includes children in a sexually explicit manner. And additionally, I don't even think Nikandros points this out, but it's very clear that Nux Taku is very much in touch with the fact that the content that he puts out and the information that he puts out surrounding this hentai content he's covering ends up getting dispersed by his audience. It's very clear. The whole point of that second clip is him talking about the fact that the type of content that he was talking about, this like time stop shit, was showing up as the top search result on this huge prawn site. I think that's important in establishing the fact that he was very much going out of his way to include this information for his viewers to go and seek out if they were interested in it. But additionally, the fact that his fan base was absolutely in droves searching up the content that he was sharing with them. In this series, just to start off, when he started going into this stuff, like he's showing here, millions of views, over 5 million in total with all of them. Nux was also deleting the videos shortly after they were releasing, or I should say privating them, unlisting them, and whatnot, to avoid YouTube, going after them for community guideline issues. Almost like YouTube understands that, when you have an age base of like 13 and up on your platform, that you could run a risk of having
don't have an age base of 13 and up. And if it ends up being like that, you can't do content like this anymore. If you got an age base like me, it's fine as long as it's not the lolly shit. I don't like the hentai stuff at all, actually. I just like the political stuff and the actual anime reactions. And honestly, if it doesn't get worse than this, I'm probably not going to change. I'll probably still watch them. I know it sucks.
Content like that being engaged with by that age range.
Because these videos were far more TOS risky than his usual content, Nux Taku would soon delete them after uploading to avoid moderation consequences.
The greatest plots in hentai too! Yes, this video will be deleted soon after uploading for the sake of my channel's survival, but a promise is a promise!
Furthermore, Nux Taku gets so popular off of this kind of series of covering hentai on YouTube that he starts collaborating with a bunch of huge YouTubers. People like Moist Critical, for instance, where they're covering stuff and doing like reviews of sorts of this content in videos.
Often involving characters of a questionable age.
There is an asshole door, so it's a woman with her ass out, and this one's like an anal key. And Ash Ketchum is well, at least a young Ash Ketchum seems to be approaching it.
Oh no.
And he uses what's called the fist dash, it seems, to gain entry.
Oh wow. Is this made for you? Yeah, I think it's done now. So now he sprayed her with the spray of doom.
Oh no. She's quivering. Oh my god! What? I didn't experience that!
Nux Taku also deployed a very aggressive clickbait strategy. Showing some bikini ladies wasn't enough. He needed cropped hentai, bestiality, and lolly.
Now, over the course of my video here, I might be including...
I'm a big fan of Oompaville too. Like the kid stuff. If somebody tried to show me something like that, I just, I can't. I'm probably not going to hang out with people who are into that kind of stuff, even as a joke.
Clips here and there of Nikandros showing some of the other YouTube videos. And if I do choose to include them, you're going to hear the type of content that they were covering in these YouTube videos. And it might make you wonder, same as me or just about anyone that's seeing this, how the fuck was this showing up and okay on YouTube? Like, how did Nux not get blown off the face of the platform immediately when he started rising in popularity? The short answer is I have no fucking clue. It's mind-blowing that Moist Critical as well, who's
algorithm manipulation. Learn how to fight against the algorithm. That's exactly what he did. He knew all of the tricks to get around everything, but he also understood that things will change in the future, so he has to take down the videos.
Also very popular at the time still, and all these other big names are covering this stuff and it's getting millions of views, and for some reason nothing is being done about it. Like, you don't have to think very hard to go, okay, we're looking at, you know, sex content on YouTube. There's always going to be the risk of kids watching it, so you usually want to veer away from that stuff. There's a good reason why it's in policy to, you know, you don't really get to talk about this kind of shit.
I don't even care about that. I mean, I understand kind of where he's coming from, where it's like, so YouTube doesn't allow this, but they didn't do anything about it. Okay, that's weird, because usually they're about not showing content like that because of children. Even though I disagree with that, I think that sexual stuff on YouTube should be fine as long as it's not outright, like, straight up porn, you know? And even sometimes it's pushing it, and kids just shouldn't be allowed on YouTube. That's how I see it. But that's just me. Also, no matter what, lolly stuff should not be allowed.
Furthermore, he's covering Lolly, which in my opinion and most others is much worse. I just genuinely don't know. I don't know why nothing was done at this time, or that maybe it wasn't being monitored, or people just kind of accepted it as being okay. Admittedly, I wasn't on that side of the internet. Usually I'm not. I guess I'm a bit more of like a prudish guy, but I don't enjoy absorbing any of that content in like a public setting. Like, even on the Discord for my YouTube here, it's an 18+ Discord.
I don't even like to consume that kind of content in a private setting.
But I don't want any NSFW content on it. Number one, I just think it's weird to engage with that content publicly. But number two, there's no definite way that I know for a fact that everyone in the Discord is actually 18 and up. So why would I run the risk of exposing any like kid to that shit? Sorry, it's been a bit of a tangent. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. If you guys have any theories as to why this kind of went on. But kind of jumping into that, you know, he was also covering Lolly stuff. This is his stance on it. Nux has an interesting take when it comes to this content.
Nux Taku has consistently denied being into it, but he also claims he doesn't believe enjoying it makes you a pedophile.
There are 3 levels here, okay? There's lollies, which I have absolutely nothing against. I don't think anyone has anything against lollies, okay? Like Chibidoki or Megumin from Konosuba or Gura. Nothing has anything against lollies. It's lolly that's the gray zone.
Nux Taku would begin to signal anti-lolicon sentiments in 2022, causing drama between him and Rev Says Desu.
They couldn't believe the guy who has used lolly-related content in his thumbnails, videos.
I mean, what is... I'm gonna have to look up the definition.
And the same guy...
I'm gonna ask Grok, though, what the definition of lolly is, so I don't get anything weird. Oh, definition of lolly. Okay, is a term that originated in Japanese anime, manga, and otaku culture, is most commonly used in 2 related but distinct ways. As a character archetype, most frequent everyday usage in anime communities, a female character who has very young, childlike, or prepubescent appearance, typically short stature, small build, flat chest, big eyes, and overall cute, kawaii features that make them look like a little girl. The character can be canonically underage, but very often is not. Many are hundreds of years old, adults who stopped aging. Yeah, okay, so it can be in a non-sexual context. I'm fine with that. If there is no sexual context to it at I'm fine with it.
It was openly...
But honestly, even if they were adults, I don't want sexual. I'm a bad judge on this, I guess.
Befriended lolicons, followed and
like
praised
porn,
lolicons on Twitter.
But I'm not trying to watch
be making
porn.
such a statement under
And I don't like to watch porn, so...
glaring hypocrisy.
I don't like Rev, but they are making a sound point. Despite his history, in early 2024, Nux Taku had no problem calling Vosh a pedophile for flashing his lolly horse folder on stream for a couple seconds. One of the more shocking images in Vosh's folder depicted a lolicon VTuber that Nux had reacted to.
16 is high school. No! Meet Natsuito Matsuri, extremely wholesome VTuber. Also, she likes talking about lollies. Nothing weird here at all. Oh god, this rabbit hole goes deep.
I think at best, that last clip you just saw was an underwhelming reaction to hearing and seeing that someone said, and I quote, "I'm into 10 and 12-year-olds, I agree." Sorry, what? I don't even really know what to, I feel insane. I know I'm going out on a limb here, hot take here. I think if you're attracted to minors, drawn or not, there's something wrong. Now, based on this entire video and what Nikandros provides, I'm almost more so leaning on this idea that Nux Taku isn't into it himself, but I do think that he saw dollar signs and saw the view count go up when he was covering this stuff and calling it crazy and weird, but you know, when you start including the
I think it was solely the dollar signs.
Name, the title.
He doesn't practice what he preaches, or at least he didn't. Maybe he does now. From what I can tell now, he does mostly practice what he preaches. But I don't know. There's a lot of video left. I'm gonna have to see if it gets any worse. If it doesn't get any worse than this, I'm still on board, but I'm a little shaky.
Where to find this stuff, and you know, showing this content on a platform where there are a lot of children watching ends up being a real bad look. And on top of that, you're not condemning this kind of content, you're propagating it. I'm going to be saying this probably a lot in this video, but again, I am curious to hear what you guys think. Next up, Nikandros alleges that Nux Taku was curating his content, his thumbnails, packaging to appeal towards a younger audience, copying the style of thumbnail of Game Theory, PewDiePie, these other really big channels, which in turn would have pulled in younger audiences from.
Yeah, but also they're not really supposed to be for kids either.
Those content creators at the time and push them towards his content.
He would imitate the thumbnail style of channels like Game Theory, which is very popular with children, and make lots of other content trying to attract MatPat's attention. He eventually succeeded and collaborated with not just MatPat, but also PewDiePie and Markiplier. Except he didn't. These are just misleading clickbait thumbnails. However, if you were a fan of one of these massive channels with very young audiences, and you were tricked into clicking on one of these videos, your recommendations would fill up with stuff like this.
Now, in my first few watch throughs, I was going to disagree with this point a bit more, because in my head, when you're kind of like, you know, copying the thumbnails of the people around you, given me, for example, shout out more Pegasus, you're doing so because that is what is working in the algorithm. That is what people are interested in clicking on. And the more I thought about that,
yeah, I don't give a fuck about the thumbnails and clickbait, especially if you're like watching a creator. Then you just, I don't give a shit.
The more I realized that MatPat and PewDiePie and Markiplier had successful thumbnails, or let's just talk about Game Theory in general, they were successful. I was clicking on them, but I was also a kid. Matter of fact, most of my friends enjoying any of the content from these creators that he has brought up, that he was also, you know, pretending to collab with and stuff, I was watching all of them as a kid growing up. So as much as I just want to say,
to be fair, I was watching them from the time I was 16 to like 24. So I was also an adult.
Well, he was also copying these things to maybe just be more successful in the algorithm. At the same time, I have that bias of, well, I watched them. That's why I knew that they were successful in the algorithm. Moreover, different thumbnail styles and different...
Like, I was watching Game Grumps too. I definitely don't think kids should have been watching Game Grumps.
You know, content styles are more successful in different parts of YouTube based on the audience that you're going for. In which case, I think Nikandros is making a pretty good point here. Now, he makes a lot of good points in this section about how it's appealing to a young audience, but I want to focus on this point that he brings up directly in regard to a TikTok trend with this Animal Crossing like thing that was made.
The most popular video on his second channel was a reaction to a viral Animal Crossing adult animation with very minimal censorship. There are small blurs around the genital areas, but you could still make out what's going on. What implication? And what's funny about it? When this animation came...
Yeah, I think he was trying to make the point that, like, look what YouTube is allowing on their platform. But that, I already knew about that, about his take on that. And it's just really stupid. Like, you're just trying to get yourself kicked off the platform. Why?
Out, it became a viral meme, and a bunch of kids on TikTok were, as Nux Taku says, doing the things or doing the dance. In other words, publishing media of themselves for anyone in the world to see, in which they are replicating moves from an adult animation they had been exposed to. Very understandably, some people considered this to be a risk to those children's safety.
This is currently the most concerning trend on TikTok.
Is it really the most concerning trend on TikTok? There's literally a trend right now called devious licks, where people break into schools or are in schools and steal stuff like hand sanitizer and fire alarms and toilet seats. They just rip them off the toilets. That is a trend on TikTok right now. But no, this is the most disturbing trend on TikTok. All right, dude.
Gonna keep it a buck with you. I don't know how you get defensive and push back on someone saying, hey, it's pretty unsettling and probably really bad to have a bunch of children mimicking a prawn dance. I'm struggling to see how you can justify being defensive about that.
He's regularly uploading.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, but that's a weird stance to take right there.
Content sexualizing children's cartoon characters onto a 13+ platform. Characters designed to appeal to children and more likely to be recommended to children. If you look at this video's comments, you see dozens of children explicitly reporting their ages, many of them being under 13. These are not adults pretending to be children as a joke. I've seen what's on their channels. They are uploading videos of themselves onto their channels and then leaving public comments under Nux Taku's videos for anyone in the world to see.
Now, this I think is one of the more concrete things that Nikandros points out, which is that there is a
I don't really care about that unless he is garnering that community. If that just accidentally happens to be the community that you get, I don't see that being his fault. But if you're like feeding off of that community, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
plethora of not even having to
And
use
I'm kind of leaning toward him being, I think he kind of was doing that.
the Wayback Machine, but of people saying, hi, I'm a 10-year-old watching this. Hi, I am a literal child watching this content. And in my head, I'm very curious where you go about justifying creating content like this on a platform where there are kids at the bare minimum self-admitting that, hey, they are children watching this content. How do you justify making content when you know that that's happening? And if that isn't the case, if you don't know, how would Nux, as the content creator of this stuff, with what we're seeing comments of children saying that they're seeing this, and he just pulled up a few, how do you not know? It comes off to me as almost an intentional ignorance to this fact, or as an intentional pushing it out of the mind and ignoring that aspect of it to just focus on, well, I'm making this and I'm an adult and I'm, you know.
It's the internet, it happens. That's probably what he was thinking. And I would just be deleting those comments out. I'd be pushing those people out of my community. Anytime I see comments that's like a little kid, if I'm doing that kind of content, I don't really give a fuck. If there's a little kid, I'd just be like, what are you doing here, man? Like, you should be watching, nothing on the internet. Go play outside.
I'm only making this with the express intent of only sharing this around with adults, but that still to me is such a hard sell.
Thousands of comments like this scattered all over Nux Taku's backlog, some new, some old, but many of them are from children who are still minors. If you look at the audience retention graph, you can see that barely anyone is watching this video for Nux Taku's commentary. All of the attention is hyper-focused on the segment where the adult animation is shown. Who do you think is watching it over and over again? Any adult could just go and watch the uncensored animation elsewhere. However, to the children who cannot access adult websites, this is the most easily available and the least censored version of the animation that they can find. Here is a comment from a child saying that they can't access the uncensored animation because of parental controls.
Now, this is speculative work, but for Nikandros' credit, I can't really think of another reason. Like, yeah, that is the sexual part, and you are left to wonder, well, adults, they know where to find this kind of stuff. In all likelihood, you'd just be jumping on Twitter. Hell, you might not even have to search and it would fucking come up. But for kids, yeah, if they somehow have access to this kind of content, it's barely...
Honestly, he shouldn't have been I'm fine with him making content like that. Should have been posting it on something like Rumble. Shouldn't have been posted on YouTube. But that sweet, sweet $sign. Or posted on, like, I don't know, fucking Vimeo.
really blurred, like Nikandros is pointing out and whatnot, why wouldn't they just be engaging with these videos and just running it back on these little pieces of clips that they're getting to see through his content? Curious to hear if you guys have any other thoughts or like point of views as to why else that retention graph could be like that. Now, to kind of hammer this nail on the head, Nikandros also shows a couple of reasons that he believes that Nux fully knew that there were children watching, specifically at the bare minimum 13 and up, and shows multiple different ways how he recognizes this in his own content. First off, he has a disclaimer in these videos at the time saying this video and my entire channel is rated PG-13 and should not be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 without direct parental consent.
That's not PG-13.
Doesn't come with the description. I would know he wrote that himself, or someone on his team wrote it if he has a team working with him. For me, that's fucking crazy. Next example, Nux, while in a video with...
It's PG-13 because there's no direct nudity. Like, kids can watch rated R movies on cable, right? Because it's all censored.
With other people, he had asked for, fans to send videos in. He had a fan, a child fan, that sent in a video of themselves.
Despite requesting NSFW content, the announcement does not list a minimum age. So Nux Taku was giving a financial incentive to minors to find the worst NSFW content they could. He would review these submissions a month later in a video with Oompaville and Iron Mouse.
I've never even pondered the thought that we could have Lolly and Guro and Bondage all in one thing. That's amazing.
Oh my god.
Among those submissions was a video that one of Nux Taku's child fans had recorded of themselves.
Oh, what? Bro.
I don't even know what that was.
That was some kid just sent you a video of them shitting and then shooting a dog with a Nerf gun.
It's not CSAM. It's some little boy farting into their phone camera. Then they shoot at their dog with a Nerf gun. There's no nudity, and you can't even see their face. However, they are clearly a child, and based on the size of their hand, a very young one at that.
There's going to be a bit more of Nux engaging with content where you would have to just be scratching your head wondering about how you wouldn't stop to think that, hey, maybe this is a child. For example, he was reading off Reddit posts from his...
And also getting that from a submission and reacting to it to millions of people, you're just going to get more people sending that kind of stuff in.
Reddit that was completely unmoderated, and I'll just let the clip go.
Please forgive me. Stop sending Gentai. Why? I already lost No Nut November. Half of my class saw Aqua's butthole on my screen. To be fair, mad respect for sending Aqua's butthole. And your class should be thankful.
The OP of this post was 12 years old. They are literally talking about a class in that post. There is no reason not to assume they might be a minor. And had Nux Taku checked their profile when this screenshot was taken, he would have seen this comment. This child was not a one-time poster. Between October 2019 and August 2020, they made 160 posts to the Reddit.
I guess because it was unmoderated, he might not have seen that comment, although it's still a stretch. And 146 posts from a single 11 to 12-year-old child is horrific. Again, and I'm just going to keep repeating this, I guess, I don't understand how you make content like this and don't expect that this is a possibility that kids are going to engage with the content and you don't take any steps to prevent this. He made a subreddit dedicated to sharing this kind of content and talking about hentai and shit, and he had it unmoderated. There are kids literally commenting that they are 10, 11, 12 in this Reddit and nothing's being done. Like, I don't even know how it doesn't cross your mind. Now, there is so much that I am glossing over that, again, I encourage, if you're thinking, maybe this is a bit shaky, you should go and watch this full video. But I want to show you guys towards the end here, this private Discord, this Patreon only Discord server that was dirt cheap to get into. That was so cheap to get into that a 14-year-old was able to enter.
I'm not surprised at all that their unhinged behavior. What were those children doing anyway on YouTube live stream? Comments clearly meant for adults. VTuber community is mainly adults entertainment. That's kind of where I'm at on it, but he also did say that he was 13 and up. He was PG-13, which I guess kind of, but not really. It's really weird. I'm still kind of on board with Nux right now. Nothing's really made me fall off, but like, fuck, this shit sucks because his content definitely is not like that anymore.
And this 14-year-old, I wouldn't say sexually, but was absolutely groomed by the adults around them and the other people a part of this Discord. I'm going to show you guys some of those clips leading into, recognizing this person's name is Red. That's how Nikandros addresses them in these. But I want to show first a clip that Nikandros found in regard to Nux Taku and his stance about, children on Discord, young age, and like content creator Discords, things like that. Just really sets a good stage here.
The biggest shock to me to this day entering the broader commentary sphere was the dangers lurking around every corner in regards to children. Children are not safe on the internet. I only became chronically online after high school, but I couldn't imagine what it would do to me if I was in some YouTuber's Discord server at the age of 12 or 14.
You couldn't imagine. You don't need to. Red joined the server on September 7th. On day 1, they openly declared themselves to
Man, you wouldn't want me in a Discord server when I was like 12, 14. I would have been a fucking disaster, dude. I would have got that shit banned. I would have got your whole Discord removed. I was a degenerate. I wasn't doing like crazy sexual stuff, but I would probably end up being one of the very first swatters because I was retarded.
14 years old. They would later claim to be 15 multiple times, but as they openly stated, they were lying about their age. Red was born in 2004. They had turned 14 soon before they joined the server. The Discord was a pretty small clique, and soon enough, basically everyone on the server knew that Red was underage. Despite this, Nux Taku made the NSFW channel for them a month later, and within a year, they had posted 242 messages on the channel. There's also an instance where another user pinged Red into the NSFW channel. As far as I can tell, this behavior was not punished.
Now, Nikandros had actually reached out to me, and we ended up going through some of these Discord logs where he literally just pulled them up from the server. He didn't have to archive these messages or anything. He could just search them up.
You would have posted tentacle memes 100%. Why you gotta call me out like that, bro?
And find them.
I was on 4chan when I was like 14.
And show me what he was talking about. If you guys can think back to the Ava Chris Tyson allegations, which Nikandros kind of touches on in this video, when we were dealing with, having to put our brains together and look at, the density of messages and these kids saying what their ages were during the Ava Chris stuff, we were looking at that and going, well, it was close enough to these kids.
I was on 4chan and Newgrounds. My brain was broken.
Saying, what their ages are and them engaging with this material that Ava Chris Tyson more likely than not must have known. If you compare, like the density of messages and these people interacting with like Ava Chris Tyson or Jimmy at the time, it is much worse. It is like magnitudes worse with this Nux Taku server. It's a much smaller group because you did have to pay, albeit like $1 or $2. It's a much smaller group, and pretty much everyone in that Discord seems to recognize and address Red as a child, making jokes about it,
really
commenting
weird.
about it, and shortly after, they're talking about Red or talking about their age or anything like this, Nux Taku is showing up. Nikandros in his video further shows that they were in Discord calls together. It gets to a point where it is...
Man, you know what I would have done immediately? Talked about it on my YouTube channel, like, hey, why the fuck is this guy got NSFW in his Discord? Which I guess is kind of what happened. But I would have been doing it immediately, man. Like, why is there a child in here? Red flags.
Very, very difficult to give Nux benefit of the doubt that he just didn't know what was going on. But
I
even
think
if
he
you
still
were
didn't.
to, further than that, which I would say is the best case scenario, this is one of the most egregious lapses in moderation and using your basic thinking skills that ends up resulting in a child having...
Because like I don't pay attention to my Discord, and I could see how he wouldn't be paying attention, and he only replies to every once in a while, or replies whenever he sees something pop up in a notification. Because I get like 1 million replies from the same 5 people in the Discord that I'm in, and I do not pay attention to them. I swipe away. Every once in a while, I'll see something and I'll reply to it, or I'll post something in there.
Like truly a traumatic experience by being a part of this Discord in the same way that Nux was just talking about in that.
Yeah, I would have not allowed a not safe for work. That not good.
Earlier clip. And I'm not just saying that.
It always leads to bad.
I'm going to show you later on what Nick ends up pointing out after talking with Red.
no.
Before I do, I just want to show you a few more examples that Nikandros had brought up, showing these people interacting with this person, knowing their age, but also the type of content that these people were showing this child.
But did Nux Taku know that Red was underage? There is no message of Nux acknowledging Red's age. However, it is extremely unlikely that he didn't know. In this conversation from earlier, where Red says they're lying about their age, Nux Taku shows up soon afterwards. In this conversation, there's some kind of an ERP going on in the general chat, which is interrupted by Red. Red is told not to get involved because they're underage. After Red says the conversation is making them gag, another user jokes, "Oh no, we better stop if we are gagging a minor." Red pinged Nux Taku soon afterwards, but Nux didn't show up. This is Mintheus Mouselord, or Mitochondria, or Mito. According to Nux Taku, they were the best poster on the NSFW channel. In this conversation about BDSM, we can see Red asking Mito to send their presentation on sex toys to other users. Note, I just made the presentation because Red was clueless. After Bex mentions having a high tolerance to weirdness, Nux shows up to say, "Proud fanbase." Gremmen asks Mito to send the presentation to Nux. I think that Red already sent it to him. No, I told ya. Never sent it, but I can now. What are we sending me? A sex toy presentation. Why? Lol. We needed to explain sex toys to Red. Nah, it's fine if it's not sent to Nux. Already did, Mito. I'm not doing honest descriptions on all Mito's sex toys. Few minutes later at 2:16, Nux says,
I think I'm just gonna delete Discord.
"Very cool, Mito, very cool." Nux Taku has now received a direct message from a minor on his server.
It scares the shit out of me to think that a bunch of people in my Discord could be talking about some stuff like that. I would shut it down immediately. I would not be able to handle that.
Containing a link to a sex toy presentation that was made for them. What adult is clueless about sex toys? To believe that Nux Taku didn't know Red's age, you'd have to believe he missed all of the instances when their age was mentioned. You'd have to believe no one told him Red was a minor in chats, VCs, or DMs, and that
Also, is Red actually a minor? Like, that's something that I kind of need to know. Wait till you know about the Furry Cub Mafia. I don't know what that is.
Nux didn't realize it from their voice when talking to them in VCs.
Now, the second half of this huge part towards the end here is him showing how Alan is very much connected to Nux Taku, showing up in podcasts with the guy, as well as him repeatedly engaging with Red and showing him content that is absolutely horrific for a child and knowing he is a child. I don't think I need to show all of it necessarily. Highly,
Is Red
again,
a child?
recommend you check out Nikandros' full video. But I went ahead and I spent $1 on Nux Taku's Patreon. Now, I just did this a moment ago and I ended up screenshotting it. Turns out when you cancel a membership on Patreon, it doesn't let you like keep the perks that you had when you bought the membership. When I tried to connect over to the Discord, this is what would happen to my Discord. You find yourself in a strange place. You don't have access to any text channels, or there are none in the server. And there wasn't any new servers showing up in my server list on the left-hand side. So at the bare minimum, false advertising. I did not get Discord access for $1, but that is the Discord access that anybody else was allowed to for just spending $1. An NSFW channel, as well as a bunch of people being super cool with the fact that you're under the age of 18. And I reached out to Nikandros because he was in that Discord server, and I found out that it appears that Nux has just been disabling new people from joining the server, but apparently it is still up and existent. But now the last bit of this video, Nux kind of addressed the release of this video.
It's basically Lolly Shorts Degens, but you have Furry, and they are basically part of the Discord moderation team and rated a Safe for Work Roblox Discord server. They got away with all of it. That sounds like typical Roblox internet bullshit. Yeah. What does it have to do with Nux, though?
And he had some interesting things to say about it. First, I want to show you this clip, but then we're going to jump to the video that he kind of talks about Nikandros' video in.
People are accusing you of being a pedophile because of a Discord. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that a bit today. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be rude. You know what? We'll save it for when I talk about it. It might have been one of the most disingenuous, slanderous campaigns ever, but we'll talk about it a bit. It's unbelievable, to be honest. It really is. It's like, oh, a guy got groomed in a Discord, which is fucking awful, don't get me wrong, and I'm really sorry if I contributed to that at all. It's really fucking awful. But I really didn't contribute to.
They also enforce Cubs furry rules and not safe for work being a must on being allowed on the Discord rules. It's basically same shit. Server was for kids. Dude, when you really look into some crazy shit with Discord, there's like the what is it, 764? It gets wild.
That much at all, to be honest. Like if we were being honest.
So sorry, just the tail end of that. I didn't contribute to it much at all. If we're being honest, I didn't contribute to it. If we're being honest, I don't know what that means. But also at the beginning, he said that people were calling him a pedo, and that is true. There were people that had seen clips of Nikandros' video that were kind of talking about it, and they were saying that Nux was a pedo. But interestingly enough, you might have noticed, even in all the clips that I showed you from Nikandros' video, he didn't once, not a single time, make that allegation, because he isn't making that allegation. And Nux really thinks that he is. You're going to notice that Nux is painting this video in a very different light than what it truly is. And I think this is in an effort to the people.
He does that sometimes. Unfortunately, you can't be doing that whenever it's a serious situation like this with serious allegations.
His fans that aren't going to watch it, or a lot of people that aren't going to sit down and watch the entire thing. He is going to try to manipulate what is going on, what the public thinks about this video, or more specifically, what the public believes this video to be. It is in my humble opinion, after truly seeing this video multiple times, that Nikandros' point is that Nux made content that catered and appealed to a younger audience, a minor audience. He shows supporting evidence to these claims, and he shows that at the bare minimum, Nux has engaged in such a gross negligence that it is very difficult to even agree with it just simply being gross negligence. And it really veers into, there are lots and lots and lots of minors that have ended up searching and finding this sexual content because of Nux's content, and he just doesn't care. Now that's just a clip, but I want to give you guys a bit more information.
I think he does care, but I don't think that he thinks that it's going on, which is not good. But what's going to happen? It's not really bad enough for anything to happen to him. He might lose some viewership, some subscribers. What are we going to do about it? Is he going to get banned off of every platform? I don't know. Definitely shouldn't be running Discord. I'll tell you that much.
Bit more to what Nux was saying about Nikandros.
I don't think anything's going to come of this. I think you're just going to get people that are just going to decide they're not going to like him. And more people know about him now, I guess.
Video. To start things off, he put it on a video on his second channel here called It Backfired. He fucking found out. And it's at the tail end of this near 40-minute video with a thumbnail in regard to Hassan. Almost seems like he's just kind of like hiding it in the background here. But let's see some of what he has to say about this video. Mild correction, he starts talking about it around 24 minutes.
Because I quite literally...
Yeah, he's probably talking to his loyal fan base. That's why he hides it in the video.
Evolved, I've grown. I'm pretty much anti-porn in general now. My entire stance on all that changed years ago. However, I never endorsed any of the weird shit that I would comment on. I would make fun of it, all right? It was never an endorsement at all. And these people are all liars and disingenuous.
Now, really quick, I just want to address that point that he never endorsed it. My brother in Christ, you literally went out of your way to talk to your viewers about the fact that you were going out of your way to include the name and information and how to access a majority of the content that you were covering in your videos. You don't have to just full chest say, I'm into this shit, for that to count as endorsing this content for your viewers. Maybe he's going at the angle of like, I'm not endorsing it, being like, I don't think that this stuff is okay. But when you're giving your entire audience access to the material, you're really starting to stretch what you're meaning by endorse here.
The new angle that...
Yeah, it's kind of like what he was talking about earlier with Chris Tyson's situation, where Chris Tyson was basically like, well, I have this link to this video. Don't click on it. Here it is. You definitely shouldn't click on it.
People are taking is that I was grooming people in a Discord. A lie. I've never groomed anyone ever, and they've never had any evidence of me grooming anyone ever. All right, so...
I think Nux is willingly ignorant to have a case of deniability in the court of public opinion, even if it gets exposed, so he can deny it to the court. It's always with these people. Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna come of this. I think it's gonna kind of just coast along as it's been going. The people who've been watching him, it's not bad enough for them to stop watching him. And he doesn't really collab with anybody anymore. And his content did change. Oh boy, I don't know. Honestly, I'm still gonna watch him probably.
It's a lot of implications that get thrown out.
Now, you might have trouble believing this, but Nikandros actually also doesn't accuse Nux of being a groomer ever. As a matter of fact, at this specific part during the video, Nikandros actually defends Nux from a separate grooming allegation of that individual Alan that I was talking about. So actually, Nikandros literally does the opposite of what Nux is claiming he's doing in this video, which is kind of interesting. Nux is now going to play a clip that he thinks is the most egregious, or he describes himself as like the biggest clip that he had seen going around about this video.
The NSFW channel wasn't there from the start. We can trace its creation to this exchange from October 15th, 2018, where we can see this user who from
2018, let's put it in perspective, 8 years ago.
now on will be called Red, repeatedly asking Nux to create it. If we look at the time and date of these messages, the
So, for the record, this Discord server was made in 2018. It was a Patreon-only Discord server. All right, it was not a public Discord server. It was Patreon only. All right, anyway, for donors.
That is a good point. Patreon only, and it only cost $1 to get into it. Only a single dollar, which is a pretty low bar of entry.
In response to this,
Is.
Red raised their Patreon pledge, and Nux gave them a thumbs up.
All right.
For a brief moment, let me take you to August of 20...
This is the guy that made the video. If you want to watch the full video, you should go watch it, by the way, if you want. If you want to watch an hour and a half of this guy calling me a pedophile with zero evidence that I'm a pedophile, you can watch this video. That would be great.
I think Nux is being way too emotional about this, but he's not wrong. There is no evidence of being a pedophile, but also I don't think dude was calling him a pedophile. But I also think that Nux probably thought that dude was calling him a pedophile.
Go do that. All right, I'm not trying to.
Nux is being a fucking moron. This whole thing, Nux is being a moron. But I know he's a moron because he's the J word. That's all I can say about that.
Hide that.
Again, another interesting fact, Nikandros never, and I mean literally never in that video, calls him a pedo. So
Yeah.
again, just not true. And this is how he's portraying the video
Yeah, I don't think Nux is lying. I just think he's retarded.
to his fan base. He's like, yeah, for sure, go and check it out, although it's all of these things that it literally isn't.
I will not be spending 4 hours reacting to an hour and a half long video calling me a pedophile again and again and again for things I've already addressed.
He's never once ever addressed any of this information because none of it had come out.
Actually, that's not true. He did address this in passing. I remember hearing about him talking about it. Not the whole situation with the underage, just with like all of the lolly content, hentai content. The Discord thing, that's a new thing. But that's also, I don't really care about it. Because, for one, there's no evidence it was actually a child. And people are fucking weird, especially when it comes to not safe for work. I think that Nux was an idiot for letting a not safe for work happen in his Discord server. Nux's internal process confirming itself as one. He can't even deny it. We should review his most FAP2 hentai / games. Any bets on most of it being lolly Shota related? I don't know. I don't know if he was actually fapping to that stuff, which is almost worse, in my opinion, because he's using it for, like, humiliation rounds, is what he was actually doing. I can kind of understand what he was doing with, like, check out this crazy content. I used to do that when I was a kid. Like, show my friends crazy content and to try and get a reaction out of them. That's what I was getting from him showing content to that VTuber and Oompa at the same time. It's like that kind of energy. The unfortunate part was allowing that kind of weird talk in the Discord. As soon as somebody starts talking like they're underage, get them out. They got to be out of there. It doesn't matter if they're paying you.
Out yet.
And he was actually...
So to be clear, this is also incorrect. This is not when I was being pressed for my past content. This was literally a video that I made talking about my 10 years on YouTube because it was like my 10-year YouTube anniversary. All right, this was not like a response to drama video, as far as I remember. Maybe I'm mistaken and I'm thinking of the wrong video, but that's what I thought.
pushed into making a response.
So, as you could see, I addressed many times that I regretted the fact that I would make lewd content and shit back in the day. To be honest, I've mentioned that multiple times. Literally.
Yeah. I don't care about the lewd content. I don't care about the Discord server. What I do care about in this situation is that Nux is a fucking idiot and was gooner brained.
Called it out in the past, but anywho, moving on. And this video was it was like a 10-year anniversary. This was not like some apology, whatever.
Red joined the server on September 7th. On day 1, they openly declared themselves to be 14 years old.
I didn't know about this.
They would later claim to be 15 multiple times, but as they
I didn't know about this.
Openly stated, they were lying about
I don't think that he knew about this. I don't think he was paying attention to his Discord.
Their age. Red was
so they were lying about their age.
You're right. They were lying about their age. And the point of that is, as you can see here, until I tell you my actual age, I'm just going to say I'm 15, even though earlier they said that they were 14. That's them lying about their age. They were lying about it being a year older. And this is them lying, saying they're 15. I think he knows this. And I think that's why he just kind of like grazes past this.
Look, man. I don't know how a minor even got into this Discord server because, as I'm sure he mentioned this in the longer video, I'm not trying to say that he tried to slander me on purpose over here, but this was a Patreon server. For those of you that are unaware, Patreon servers are inherently 18 plus because if you want to become a patron, if you want to join a creator's membership as a patron or provide membership as a creator, you must be at least 18 years old or have permission from.
If you want to create a Patreon account, you need to be at least 13. If you want to join a creator's membership as a patron or provide membership, okay. So you can be free on here. Okay. As 13, you can be free. But if you want to pay, you got to be 18. Okay.
Parent or guardian. All right. Quite literally, that obviously didn't happen. This was inherently an 18 plus Discord server. So if someone lied or stole their mom's credit card or their mom let their kid join a Discord server from a guy that was making more, adult focused content on my YouTube channel, that is the parents' fault.
So I don't think anyone's pushing back on, this kid found their way onto this server and that's not okay. I think people have an issue with the fact that they were talking about their age and the fact that they were so young was so talked about on this Discord. Well, if everyone knew that everyone was supposed to be 18 up at this time, how come nobody did anything about it? And how come somehow in this small little, Patreon group, he's talking about, it was Patreon only, so it must have been, smaller and whatnot, not even Nux saw that Red was on this server. Not even Nux saw that Red was talking multiple times about the fact that they were so young. I don't think you can really hide behind blaming the parents here. Matter of fact, I guess we should be asking the question too, how come nobody else on the Discord, we have to presume, shared?
Most anime hentai enjoyers can deny being into the real thing because they find it gross and only care about pure women in real life, and they understand it's fiction, much like violent horror, gore content in video games. Yeah, I can get that. I think, though, what Nux more was doing, so, like, when you're doing the humiliation rounds with this weird content, you're sitting there watching it, you're looking for it, and it's in this weird mindset of like, oh, what the fuck? But you're in it for a long time, especially when you're making content around it. You have to look at it multiple times. Not good. Not good.
With Nux, the fact that there was this fucking child on the server. How did nobody see an issue? Or is Nux potentially lying about nobody?
I don't think Nux was lying about knowing. I think that he just garnered an audience of freaks. And honestly, people who pay to be in a Discord server for not safe for work content, those are freaks. True, he's getting off the shame shock for the laughs with friends. If they are into it, it's whatever. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't think that he meant for children to be involved. He's a fucking retard. And I don't really care that much. I'm probably still going to watch. I don't really care about his political takes that much. Sometimes he reacts to crazy political events, and I like that. I usually just watch him for the anime. The anime content's fire. But I've been falling off here recently anyway. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I used to watch Destiny, right? Not for his political takes either. I watched Destiny because I liked where his personality was when he was, how do I put this? He was faking his personality, basically. It was before all of the cuck shit. As soon as all that stuff, I was like, okay, all right. And then it just kept getting worse. His mods are to be blamed for not kicking them more than him, to be honest, on this Discord. Yeah. True. But also, I don't think you should have not safe for work on your Discord at all. Honestly, I'm leaning more toward now, at least, deleting Discord, not using that shit ever again, because it's just breeds toxicity, especially if you're like me, and sometimes I just fall off of certain things. So I would just not pay attention to it, and some weird shit might happen, and I don't want that.
Bringing this up? I don't know, but are we just also assuming that everyone here that was a part of this Patreon actively engaging with Red, with them talking about their age, with them engaging and saying, hey, don't be a part of this because you're underage, when they're literally erotic role-playing in the general chat of this server? What are we doing? This comes off very clearly as a very panicked Nux. He really seems to be freaking out here, and he is deflecting in ways that are only going to be working for his core audience that is not going to focus on the details of this. Yeah. I am genuinely...
His core audience, they're still gonna watch. I'm probably still gonna even watch, even though I'm like, man, this is fucked up. But it's not fucked up enough. And I'm a small enough creator that I can say that.
Really disturbed by his response here. I think that maybe my bias has gotten into my head with what I've seen so far, but it is really hard for me to find Nux to be anything other than disingenuous in his response to Nikandros here. Moreover, just his...
I don't know if he's attempting to be disingenuous. I think he's just being overly emotional because he is freaking out. Because he might actually get canceled off of some platforms that make him money.
Response to these claims. He's redirecting guilt to other parties like the parents of this individual as opposed to taking any sort of accountability. And every time he almost takes it and he's like, yeah, you know, these kinds of things are bad and I'm sorry if it happened, when it's so very clear that it happened. And I think he's going out of his way to intentionally act like he's not for sure so that he can still claim this absolute ignorance and viciously gross negligence. Again, very curious to hear what you guys think.
And even more importantly, this also had an age verification. You needed to click that you were 18 plus to join this channel in the server.
Well, when an individual is in your server, self-admitting over and over and over again to the fact that they're underage over and over and over again, it's really hard to use the excuse of they clicked the...
I gotta say, still, was the person underage? That is definitely a factor. Because you can say you're underage, are you really? Because there was a lot of steps put in place to make sure that the person wasn't. But it was also steps that could be easily bypassed if you had a shitty parent. Like, oh, he likes this cartoon man. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll give you this money so you can be part of this community. Instead of giving you Roblox, Robux, whatever. You're not playing Fortnite. You're actually talking to people. You got friends. Cool, little Jimmy. I'll give you $10.
Button that said I'm 18 and up. For instance, I only advertise my Discord server as being 18 and up. We don't have NSFW content, like I said, but I just don't want kids running amok. We have a role in the Discord that you can assign yourself that is below 18. If we find anyone assigning themselves with that role, they get banned from the server because, believe it or not, they can end up hopping in. They can end up clicking on the link that I've said, hey, you have to be 18 up to join this, and they can deceive our Discord and try to get in regardless, which is why you moderate it, why you don't just post this kind of content on it, because you run this risk, especially when you have as large of an audience as someone like Nux does. So again, this just comes off as just bullshit excuses. Now, after this point, he kind of repeats himself a little bit and then shows like, oh, PewDiePie was covering this also terrible anime thing that depicted adults engaging with children in a bad way, a graping way.
I don't care what PewDiePie did. You shouldn't be deflecting like that using PewDiePie.
and said that it was a trend at the time. And he is right. I mean, interacting with Shadman on Twitter was also relevant at the time, and it was a trendy, popular thing. Now, I will say across the board, yeah, probably wasn't a good idea to make content like that, especially on a platform like YouTube. PewDiePie's video about this was 10 years ago. And yes, he did react to this one, but it was a literal one and done, which again, still not great. Whereas Nux Taku was doing this content literally up into 2022. Little over 4 years of making content like this. I don't really know if you can compare those two things to each other. And I don't really know if you can justify, well, everyone...
So literally whenever the algorithm changed because he changed his content as whenever I started watching him. Okay, I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Reacted to this one particular egregious one when you've got ones of like monkeys doing this to children. And when you're also covering them in the amount that you were, you had a series dedicated to doing this. Just comes off as like,
Shadman's arrest was 5 years ago. Time flies. Bro, I'm 30 now. I'm an old man. Time really is flying. I remember that. I didn't feel like an old man then. I feel like an old man now. I've got a cowboy hat and a beard and I'm going bald. I was cute 5 years ago.
well, other people were doing it, so it was cool, but they weren't really doing what you were doing. And I think as much as you can regret, doing this kind of stuff or feel bad or, yeah, I'm not proud of what I was doing in the past, I don't know if that is necessarily just the thing that absolves you of something like this, especially when a lot of this information, like in regard to the Discord, hasn't been out yet. I don't think you get to walk away from all this new information by saying, well, I've addressed, I regret that time in my life. I don't think that's the be all end all response to this kind of thing. And curious to hear again what you guys think about that. But as of right now, that is the only response I believe that Nux has really given it. As of right now, Nikandros actually mentioned Nux.
He'll probably just mention it in passing that it was a thing that was happening and it won't be really talked about again. And people will just keep making commentary videos about, remember this thing that happened? Remember how nothing was ever done? Because nothing's ever done. And honestly, if nothing is ever done, why would something be done about this? This is just kind of like a fucking non-issue that nobody's going to care about, even though it does suck and it is kind of egregious. But at least he got called out and maybe he'll do something to fix this. He kind of did fix it anyway already, but like he deserves some heat for this, I guess.
His response and has talked about it. Apparently his video is supposed to be 25 minutes longer, but he cut off a good chunk of it, so he will be making a part 2 talking about all of this other information and kind of responding to Nux's response. But with all that being said, that brings this video to a close. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you're new.
I'll give it a thumbs up. It was some pretty good coverage. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If Nux makes his way back into my timeline again, I'll probably watch him, honestly.